Hey everybody, welcome back. It's crunch time. We took a little break for the Christmas season, New Year's, all that kind of stuff. A lot of family stuff, a lot of stuff going on though in sports. So we're gonna try and catch up as much as we can. Greg, first thing I want to ask you, how many Powerball tickets did you buy this week?
Yo, man, Happy New Year. I got myself, we did the whole work thing, so the whole office is in.
Okay.
I'm playing, so we got a couple. How about you?
Yeah, you know what? I only spent about $10, which I feel like I could lose $10, in the course of a day. So I don't feel too stupid about buying them. So, but I'll let you know right now. If I win, you'll never see my ass again. So I'll be on a beach somewhere and I'll never come back. But let's talk a little sports while we're here now. And a lot of stuff going on in the NFL. This is my favorite time in the NFL because this is when coaches get fired and coaches get hired, and there's a lot of stuff going on. It's my favorite time of the year. And as the resident Giants fan, Greg, I want to ask you, how do you feel about Coughlin leaving?
I want to say good riddance, but I can't because he won his 2 Super Bowls.
Exactly.
But I mean, you had ups and downs with Tom Coughlin. Every time that you thought his job was in jeopardy, they would go out and they'd win a Super Bowl. I think Tom Coughlin was a good coach. I think he's a great man, but I think his message to the players just was short-lived. And I'm glad that we're moving on because I think the NFL is a little bit different of a game. He hasn't been able to evolve as other coaches have,
Sure.
and I think we just need some new blood in the building. So I'm happy to see him go because I think he went out on a good note.
I agree too. I mean, this is like the third time that they've, basically risked his job or whatever, and he's been forced out. But the last 2 times he's won Super Bowls. So, but I mean, yeah, you need a new message, you need a new face, you need to revitalize the franchise. But I mean, if you ask me, the guy's a great coach for a lot of seasons, and he gave you 2 Super Bowls. So it's kind of like, I understand that, a lot of Giants fans wanted him to go and he had to leave and all this other stuff. But finding a guy who has 2 Super Bowl championships as a replacement coach is very hard to do. So I know they're interviewing McAdoo and then bringing in some other guys. But we'll like to see what happens. How do you feel about him interviewing with the Eagles?
See, that's where it gets tricky, I mean, I don't understand that from Coughlin's position, unless he really feels slighted by the Giants. But, I mean, I had to see the writing on the wall because you haven't made the playoffs in the last 3 years.
Sure.
But why would you go to in-house like that? I mean, let's be honest. Why does Coughlin even think that he should continue coaching? I mean, at this point, just ride those 2 Super Bowls into Canton because, I mean, he's definitely a Hall of Famer. But if he coaches for the next – say 2 or 3 seasons and racks up, another 6-10 record, all of a sudden he's just packing on losses, and then all of a sudden his Hall of Fame status may be put into jeopardy. So I disagree with him going to coach or to interview with the Eagles unless it's some backhanded, slight towards the Giants and the Maras. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at the NFL, a job is a job. Whether it's in division, out of division, I don't think there's a lot of loyalty. I listen, if the Patriots let go of Belichick, he's not going to interview with the Jets. I mean, he's going to finish his career out with the Patriots, let's be honest. But I don't, I think a job is a job. And I think the Eagles called and had interest. And I think the Eagles only called and wanted to interview him as probably a little shot at the Giants. I don't think they had any intention of bringing him in.
Yeah, and that may be true, but I mean, I don't like the fact that Coughlin would even do it. It just, I think, he's had so much success here, not only as a head coach, but, when he was working under Bill Parcells, I just thought he would have had too much, a lot more class to say, there's no point.
Yeah, I mean, I think San Francisco is going to be a landing spot for him. I think that's the highly likely place for him to go. And other news, the Browns hired Hugh Jackson, which was a weird one for me, only because Hugh Jackson coached in Oakland, didn't have a great success. But then again, it is Oakland. But, you're going to Cleveland, which is even worse. And from what I hear, sources are saying that Manziel is out.
Yeah, what is going on with Cleveland? I mean, they have got to be the worst franchise. They bring in a consultant from baseball. I mean, I know it was Billy Beane's right-hand man, and Jonah Hill played him great in Moneyball, but I don't understand. I mean, you could say a sports guy's a sports guy, so he's going to know sports, but I thought that move was very questionable. And then bringing in Hugh Jackson, I mean, he hasn't been a head coach in 4 years. I think it was 2011 when the Raiders got rid of him. I mean, the only thing that Cleveland has going for him is that they got the 2nd overall pick. That's the only thing.
And that was the other thing too. I mean, that could be a place for Coughlin to go if you want to rebuild the franchise. I mean, yeah, you only get him maybe 2 or 3 years because the guy's like 70 years old. But that's a good place where you get a good message. You get somebody in there who is a no-nonsense guy. And Hugh Jackson for me he doesn't do it for me. And if you want to rebuild the Browns and make it a formidable team, you have to be able to get somebody in there who is a no-nonsense guy who has some wins under his belt. I mean, who's going to really rally around a guy who went 8-8 for the Oakland Raiders?
Yeah, exactly. And going back to Coughlin, I was really hoping Coughlin was going to get the Miami Dolphins job. Because I want to see Coughlin in a warm weather. I feel bad for the guy. He's like your grandfather or that old uncle who's sitting on the sidelines, he's shivering, his cheeks are red, his nose is red. He has no idea what's going on. I'm always like, God, can somebody get that guy a heater?
Yeah, it's old red face. I think that's why he's going to go to the 49ers. He'll go to 49ers.
He could have went out to San Francisco. Just be warm. Go to a place that you're going to be warm.
Yeah, he'll blend right in. That red face and those colors, that red and gold. He'll blend
like face paint.
Speaking of warm weather, the St. Louis Rams are going to LA, 2016. I think they're playing in the Coliseum. Do I know that? Have I heard that right? Or the racetrack? I can't.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're going to build a new stadium for him, right? I mean, that's the whole purpose of them going.
But are they building it now?
Well, no. I mean, a stadium takes a couple years, and you have to get the financing going. But I'm okay with the Rams going back to LA. I mean, that was a big time show back in the '80s with Dan Fouts and all those old Kellen Winslow and everything. But I mean, it's sad for St. Louis, but at the same time, I don't really know how strong of a fan base they had down there. I mean, St. Louis is a great sports town with the Cardinals, but once
they had a
turf got out of there, I don't know how good they've been.
Yeah, I don't think they had a good fan base there, and it's not really a football town, I don't think. And this is the second time it's happened to them, so I don't know. I like LA for the Rams. I don't know if they bring back the old colors and they do all the old LA Rams stuff. That's great. And also the Chargers have an option to join them, which I think is smart. You build a big, huge stadium for 2 teams. We do it here with the Giants and the Jets, and it doesn't seem to be an issue. And if the Chargers say no, then the Raiders have an option to do that. And I don't know what the Raiders are doing because they need a new stadium as well.
I would rather see San Diego go there. I mean, I think San Diego has a really good fan base where they are. And I mean, you're only talking about a 2-hour drive north to go to LA. But yeah, I think, the Padres, they need almost like a facelift for their franchise. It's, they got a great quarterback there. They need to keep him there. They need to put money and put people in the seats. So if you get a brand new stadium up in LA, it's something to bring in some free agents.
Correct.
But I'm not an Al Davis or a Davis family, loving guy. So I could care less about the Raiders.
See, my roommate's a Raiders fan, so I have a little soft spot for the Raiders. But it's been a good franchise as far as fan base for years, and I think they deserve a new stadium and something to really, revive that organization. I understand the Davis family is not the best family. It's like the Jerry Jones of the West, but I don't know. But anyway, switching over. College football, real quick. All these head coaching jobs in the NFL. Nick Saban wins his 5th national title, and as always, is he going to the NFL?
Why would you? Talk about. It's kind of like John Calipari in basketball. I mean, you're getting paid. If right now he gets paid, I think there's only 7 coaches in the NFL that get paid more than he does, and he's a college coach.
Yep.
He's getting 4 and 5-star recruits every single year. He's in these playoffs. He's winning national championships. People love him in Tuscaloosa. He's got to be the only guy that coaches and has a statue of him out in the parking lot. Talk about a great situation for him. Plus, he's already tried the NFL. It didn't work out.
No.
I just don't see it.
I mean, listen, the guy is a god in Alabama. Why in the world would you go to the NFL with all the scrutiny and all that stuff, and you have the best players in the country begging to go to your school? You're automatically top 4 team every year. They might as well just put Alabama in the playoff at the beginning of the year and then find out who the other 3 teams are, because that's how good they are. Because even when they lose a game and they still make it to the national championship and win. So I don't think, and Nick Saban's not an old guy. I mean, he's an older guy, but he's not Coughlin. He's not 75 years old. He's going to coach for a lot more years. I would ride it out in Alabama until I die. And then build more statues of me. That's exactly what I would do. I would never go to the NFL.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think right now.
Yeah, I think I lost you there, Greg.
Talking about.
There you go.
So you kind of merge professional and college when you're talking about coaches. I mean, when you think about basketball and you say, oh, who's one of the greatest coaches of all times, Mike Krzyzewski's name pops up, and he's never coached in the NBA. Sure. So when you talk about NFL, or when you just talk about football coaches as a whole, Nick Saban's name is going to be popped up. But people talk about Bear Bryant or Bo Schembechler. It's these college names pop up. So I don't think notoriety to go to the NFL is needed, unless he feels that he's not challenged anymore in the college game and he wants to, bring his ability to the NFL. But like I said, he tried that with Miami. It took 2 years, and he's such a control freak that he just couldn't manage grown men and professionals. Like, he needs to be able to manage, young teenage guys, before, grooming them to get to the NFL.
He needs to mold them from the beginning and say that we're on this stage, and I'm going to lead you from point A to point B. And this is my goal, and this is what I'm going to do. And that's the way it needs to be set up. But I would stay. If it was me, I'd stay at Alabama forever. I'm a god. I get paid more than any coach in the entire country. I'm not going anywhere. So I agree with you when I say that. One more question about the NFL while we're here. Greg, who do you got for the Super Bowl this year? What are you thinking?
Right now, I'm leaning towards Arizona. Arizona. I think they collectively, offensively and defensively, they got probably the best team, and they don't have to play Seattle next week. So I don't really see anybody in the AFC because there's so many problems. Now we've learned about Ben Roethlisberger's shoulder. Peyton Manning has been, battling the plantar fasciitis.
Yeah. I think I like Arizona too, personally. I can't rule out the Patriots because it's the Patriots, and they always seem to kill you. And I like Arizona. I'd love to see Peyton Manning, obviously, but Peyton Manning's time is just dwindling. The Packers don't look like the Packers. The Panthers are playing the Seahawks, which the Seahawks haven't been playing great this year, but they're still the Seahawks. That defense is still formidable, and Russell Wilson's been playing out of his mind the past 8 games. So I think, I like the Cardinals. I think they have a high-powered offense, and I think Bruce Arians doing a great job down there coaching that defense. So we'll see what happens. That I'm not sure how to call that, because there's a lot of great teams.
So you agreed with me? You're taking the Cardinals?
I'm not taking the Cardinals.
Can you come up with your own argument?
I'm not taking the Cardinals. I'm saying that the Cardinals probably have the best shot. I would probably, my skin boils when I say it, but I'd probably take the Patriots if they're healthy towards the next 2 games. So we'll see.
They're never healthy, but they just plug in. They bring somebody off the practice squad, and somehow he performs better than most pros.
Yeah,
most
exactly.
pros.
Well, if Tom Brady's throwing you the ball, you are automatically a better player. That's just the way it works. That's enough NFL talk for right now. I want to do baseball real quick with you, Greg, just because there's been a little bit of news for us as Yankee fans. Do we have the best bullpen in the major leagues right now?
Oh, you have to look at it. I mean, as long as Chapman doesn't get suspended for spousal abuse, I mean that's lights out.
I mean, how many games is that?
I think it's possible up to 40.
Okay. I mean, yeah, 40 games is a lot. So, but you got to think you got Andrew Miller who closed this whole year. You got Dellin Betances. I still think we need a starting pitcher. I don't know if we're going to go out and get somebody or if we're going to get somebody at the trade deadline in the middle of the season, or maybe we got some young guys in the minor leagues that I haven't seen yet. But I think that the starting lineup is something that is needed.
Yeah. About the ability to bring in Andrew Miller in the 6th, and then have Betances do a 7 and 8, and then you're going to have Chapman to close it out. The biggest thing that I'm worried about is egos right now. I mean, Chapman comes in and he pretty much says that he wants to be the closer, and Joe Girardi stood behind that. So as long as Andrew Miller's ego isn't hurt or tarnished.
From what I heard Betances is doing 7th.
Right.
And Miller's doing 8, and then Chapman will close.
Yeah. I mean,
that's what Girardi said. That came from the.
If everyone's okay with that, but Andrew Miller was, he won the award last year for the best American League saver.
I agree. I agree, but listen, you didn't make the playoffs. You didn't win it.
Oh, they made the playoffs. They made the wild card game.
Okay.
They lost.
That's not the playoffs.
I understand. Books, you're still going to see the Yankees in 2015 made the playoffs.
Okay, I understand on paper with the new bullshit 1-game play-in, whatever they want to call it. It's a playoff. You're in the playoffs, but we had no business being in that game. We didn't deserve to be in the playoffs. And the playoffs to me is a 7-game series. That's what it is to me.
Oh, the first round is a 5-game series, so that's not. You can't even say that.
Sorry.
Hey man, you know me. It's all about rules and
I know
technicalities. So.
I know. All right, so I mean, like I said, I think they need a bat. I think they need a starting pitcher. I like Servino. We'll see what happens with him. And I know they got a lot of young guys. They got Aaron Judge and all those young guys down there. I don't want to see them earlier than later because obviously if I see them early, then we're not playing well and we're just bringing up guys to bring up guys. Most likely I see Teixeira going down and Greg Bird coming back up because Teixeira falls off the toilet and hurts himself. So you never know. I don't know what's going to happen this year, but it's so early to even talk about that. But
I have to say, I think quietly Brian Cashman has had one of the best offseason of his career. I think he's made a lot of strong moves to upgrade their team. But I think we've maybe become a little bit too spoiled as Yankee fans where we're expecting that giant free agent to sign, that multi-year deal. And because that didn't happen this year, we're kind of looking at some of these signings as, nothing or, we're brushing them under the rug. But I think this has been good.
We're not a peace team. We're not as a fan base, we're not a peace team. We're not we're going to plug in pieces that fit to the way that we want to play. That's not how we are. We're the guy that, we're the team that we got the big hitter right fielder, even though we have 7 right fielders and we probably don't have a place for this guy, but he's the biggest name out there and we got him. That's who we are. Even if he doesn't fit, we have the big right-handed batter who hits home runs, but can't play the field and, we have no pitching and no whatever. That's usually how we are. So it's interesting to see Cashman this year and what he's been doing, with the second baseman. And then now, bullpen, our starters only have to go to the 6th inning. I mean, that's what they've been doing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and that's what I think. If you look at it, you had a good bullpen, but you just made it better. You upgraded at second base with Castro, and I think now, I think there's going to be more responsibility placed on, like you said, we need a bat, but I think more is going to be placed on, hey, Brian McCann, we signed you to be a bat. Now be a bat. Toby Ellsbury, we gave you a big deal. You have to stay healthy. Yep. Beltran, you're in the third year of your of the 3-year deal. You got to produce for us. Teixeira, at the end of your career, Teixeira had a good year last year, but he gets hurt.
And let's see if A-Rod can find magic in a bottle again and do what he did last year. And when I mean bottle, I mean probably performance-enhancing drugs, but whatever. That doesn't bother me as long as you win a World Series. And so one last thing, Greg, it wouldn't be a Crunch Time episode if we did not talk about my beloved Golden State Warriors. Now, since the last time we spoke, you came to my house. We watched the Warriors play because, they're late games. We usually don't get to see them play a lot, and they played an 8 o'clock game. And, Greg, I'm not sure if you remember. It was a long time ago, but do you remember what happened in that game?
When I came over and they played the Bucks?
Yes.
Yeah, they lost.
They lost.
We jinxed them.
I came together.
And I came over to see history, and we jinxed them.
Yeah, and we watched that game together, and the whole game I'm waiting for something special to happen, and they looked real. It looked like a real team. It looked like, I was expecting this fantasy team where they just make shots and it's magical. And you know what? 36 times out of the year this year, they've been that team. But the one time that we watched, it just wasn't, they looked beatable when we watched them play. I don't know if it was an off shooting night or if the Bucks were just better that night. I'm not really sure. But, I mean, listen, they're 36-2. If you expand that, that's 72-4. You know what I mean? So they're still on that record pace.
So are you asking me if I still think that they're gonna?
I am beating around the bush and asking you: is there still a shot?
Well, I mean, there's always a shot, but my gut says no. They're not going to be able to sustain that. Going.
Yeah, and you've noticed recently, if you've been following up, Steph Curry injured out 2 games. They lost one of those games to the Mavericks. And then Draymond Green not playing tonight because he hurt his ankle a few weeks ago, and he's getting a night of rest. Klay Thompson also having problems, injury stuff. So I think injuries are going to play a big part in the rest of the season and seeing where everything goes.
Yeah. Hey, look, if this was 2 years ago or even last year and the Warriors played in the Eastern Conference, I would say, yeah, they have a real legit because they're going to beat up.
Yeah. They're gonna beat up on the Bulls and the Hawks and those kinds of teams.
Winning streak. You got San Antonio, who's basically on the heels of the Warriors. I think they've only lost 6 games.
Yep.
When you have to play that quality of competition day in and day out, it's going to take a toll on you. And if you have players that go down with injuries or even just need a game off for rest, it's hard to bring your A game like that for an 82-game season. It's a long season. It's a long season.
I agree. But we'll see what happens. And, I want to see history. I'm a Steph Curry fan. I want to see it all happen. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But, Greg, it's been fun. I've missed you on the show here. And for now, I'll see you next week.
Sounds good.